Assassination attempts on Fidel Castro. The United States Central Intelligence Agency made several unsuccessful attempts to assassinate Fidel Castro during his time as the President of Cuba. Background. Following World War II, the United States became secretly engaged in a practice of international political assassinations and attempts on foreign leaders. For a considerable period of time, the U.S. government officials vehemently denied any knowledge of this program, since it would be against the United Nations Charter. On March 5, 1972, Richard Helms, Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA Director, declared that no such activity or operations be undertaken, assisted, or suggested by any of our personnel. In 1975, the U.S. Senate convened the Senate Select Committee to study government operations, with Russ, a Democrat from Idaho. The Church Committee uncovered that CIA and other governmental agencies employed a so-called tactic of plausible deniability during decision-making related to assassinations. CIA subordinates were deliberately shielding the higher-ranking officials from any responsibility by withholding the full amount of information about planned assassinations. Government employees were obtaining tacit approval of their acts by using euphemisms and sly wording in communications. Early attempts. According to CIA Director Richard Helms, Kennedy administration officials exerted a heavy pressure on the CIA to get rid of Castro. It explains a staggering number of assassination plots aiming at creating a favorable impression on President John F. Kennedy. There were 5 phases in the assassination attempts, with planning involving the CIA, the Department of Defense, and the State Department. According to columnist Jack Anderson, the first CIA attempt to assassinate Castro was part of the Bay of Pigs invasion operation, but 5 more CIA teams were sent, the last apprehended on a rooftop within rifle range of Castro. At the end of February or beginning of March 1963, Mayhew was identified as the team leader who recruited John Roselli, a gambler with contacts in the Italian-American Mafia and Cuban underworlds. The CIA assigned 2 operations officers, William King Harvey and James O'Connell, to accompany Roselli to Miami and to recruit the actual teams. Mafia engagement. According to CIA documents, the so-called family jewels that were declassified in 2007, one assassination attempt on Fidel Castro prior to the Bay of Pigs invasion involved noted American mobsters Johnny Roselli, Salvatore Giancana, and Santo Trafficante. In September 1960, Momo Salvatore Giancana, a successor of Al Capone's in the Chicago Outfit, and Miami syndicate leader Santo Trafficante, who were both on the FBI's 10 most wanted list at that time, were indirectly contacted by the CIA about the possibility of Fidel Castro's assassination. Johnny Roselli, a member of the Las Vegas syndicate, was used to get access to Mafia bosses. The go-between from the CIA was Robert Mayhew, who introduced himself as representative of several international businesses in Cuba that were expropriated by Castro. On September 14, 1960, Mayhew met with Roselli in a New York City hotel and offered him $150,000 for the removal of Castro. James O'Connell, who identified himself as Mayhew's associate but who was actually the chief of the CIA's Operational Support Division, was present during the meeting. The declassified documents did not reveal if Roselli, Giancana, or Trafficante accepted a down payment for the job. According to the CIA files, it was Giancana who suggested poison pills as a means to doctor Castro's food or drinks. Such pills, manufactured by the CIA's Technical Services Division, were given to Giancana's nominee named Juan Orta. Giancana recommended Orta as being an official in the Cuban government who had access to Castro. Allegedly, after several unsuccessful attempts to introduce the poison into Castro's food, Orta abruptly demanded to be let out of the mission, handing over the job to another unnamed participant. Later, a second attempt was mounted through Giancana and Trafficante using Dr. Anthony Verona, the leader of the Cuban exile junta, who had, according to Trafficante, become disaffected with the apparent ineffectual progress of the junta. Verona requested $10,000 in expenses and $1,000 worth of communications equipment, and $1,000 worth of communications equipment. However, it is unknown how far the second attempt went, as the assassination attempt was cancelled due to the launching of the Bay of Pigs invasion. On October 26, 2017, declassified documents revealed that U.S. Attorney General Robert Kennedy hesitated to recruit the Mafia in assassination attempts on Castro due to his push against organized crime. Later attempts. The Church Committee stated that it substantiated 8 attempts by the CIA to assassinate Fidel Castro in 1960 through 1965. Fabian Escalante, a retired chief of Cuba's counterintelligence, who had been tasked with protecting Castro, estimated the number of assassination schemes, or actual attempts by the Central Intelligence Agency, to be 638, a project codenamed Executive Action, and split them among U.S. administrations as follows: Dwight D. Eisenhower, 38, John F. Kennedy, 42, Lyndon B. Johnson, 72, Richard Nixon, 184, Jimmy Carter, 64, Ronald Reagan, 197, George H.W. Bush, 16, Bill Clinton, 21. Some of them were a part of the covert CIA program dubbed Operation Mongoose, aimed at toppling the Cuban government. The assassination attempts reportedly included cigars poisoned with botulinum toxin, a tubercle bacilli-infected scuba diving suit along with a booby-trapped conch placed on the sea bottom, an exploding cigar, as Castro loved cigars and scuba diving, but he quit smoking in 1985, a ballpoint pen containing a hypodermic syringe preloaded with a lethal concoction of Blackleaf 40, and plain Mafia-style execution endeavors, among others. There were plans to blow up Castro during his visit to Ernest Hemingway's museum in Cuba. Some of the plots were depicted in a documentary film entitled 638 Ways to Kill Castro, 2006, aired on Channel 4 of the British Public Service Television. One of these attempts was by his ex-lover, Marina Lorenz, whom he met in 1959. She agreed to aid the CIA and attempted to smuggle a jar of cold cream containing poison pills into his room. When Castro learned about her intentions, he reportedly gave her a gun and told her to kill him, but her nerves failed. Some plots aimed not at murder, but at character assassination. They, for example, involved using thallium salts to destroy Castro's famous beard, or lacing his radio studio with LSD to cause him disorientation during the broadcast and damage his public image. When Castro traveled abroad, the CIA cooperated with Cuban exiles for some of the more serious assassination attempts. The last documented attempt on Castro's life was in 2000, and involved placing 90 kilograms of explosives under a podium in Panama where he would give a talk. Castro's personal security team discovered the explosives before he arrived. Castro once said, in regards to the numerous attempts on his life he believed had been made, "If surviving assassination attempts were an Olympic event, I would win the gold medal." The CIA in 1962 considered a plan called Operation Bounty, which would have involved dropping leaflets over Cuba, offering financial rewards to the Cuban population for the assassination of various individuals, including $5,000 to $20,000 for informants, $57,000 for department heads, $97,000 for foreign communists operating in Cuba, up to $1 million for members of the Cuban government, and only 2 cents for Castro himself, which was meant to denigrate him in the eyes of the Cuban people. The top-secret document which revealed the plan, which was never put into practice, was one of the 2,800 related to the federal investigation of the Kennedy assassination, which were released as scheduled in October 2017. Repercussions. Besides the attempt on Fidel Castro, the CIA has been accused of involvements in the assassinations of such foreign leaders as Rafael Trujillo, Patrice Lumumba, and Nguyen Diem. The Church Committee rejected political assassination as a foreign policy tool and declared that it was incompatible with American principle, international order, and morality. It recommended Congress to consider developing a statute to eradicate such or similar practices, which was never introduced. Instead, President Gerald Ford signed in 1976 an Executive Order 11905, which stated that no employee of the United States government shall engage in or conspire in political assassination.